today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at the Hasbro Marvel Legends Infinite Series Build-A-Figure Hobgoblin. Took 6 figures to put together this guy, as you guys have been sticking around and watching these videos, and thank you for that. We have been putting together the Hobgoblin, and here we have him. I try not to sound like an old person when I say stuff like this, but the problem for me with this particular figure is I don't gravitate well to the design. He's very different and still the same. I mean, the aspects that make Hobgoblin. Hobgoblin is the orange color, I should say. That kind of goblin face. So those are 2 points that this figure still carries over, and for that matter, the designs of the characters still carry over. But by that same token, he doesn't feel Hobgoblin-esque to me, and I try to be very optimistic, and I try not to be very biased when I look at figures like this because, you know, as with the signs of the times, things change. You know, Heath Ledger's Joker doesn't maybe necessarily look like Jack Nicholson's Joker, but which is the better Joker? Again, it's a new imagining of characters. And the same thing for Hobgoblin, I guess, can still be said as well, that he's not quite your father's, oh boy, I sound so old. He's not your father's Hobgoblin. He's interesting, I'll say that. He does have these wings, this kind of jetpack, which I guess has replaced, I feel maybe has replaced the Goblin Glider. Again, I don't follow some of the new recent comics that maybe he flies around on this. He does have a sword that attaches to the top, which I don't think I pointed out before. And this, believed to be pulled out, gives you then the fiery sword, which is what I'm guessing. The fiery sword, I don't think we really touched base on in the previous videos. Nice sculpted piece. It's this translucent plastic. The accents in the red and the orange really make the flames, give it more realistic, and the sculpt of the blade is nice, especially this section right here, how it kind of just curls out as opposed to it just being, you know, jagged, somehow equals fire. This kind of gives you a little bit of extra flow, like it's water almost, or smoke, but just obviously fire. He can take the sword and you can put it into his hand. And I think I actually had put it in this hand initially, and it sits a little looser. The smarter thing to do is to put it into this hand here. At least the one thing I didn't like about Daredevil is the one thing I like about Hobgoblin's sword here is that it's rubbery. So you can put the sword in his hand. He fits it very well. And the more open hand I then reserve for the pumpkin bomb. And you have to take like the fire and kind of just wedge it, maybe is the word I want to use, wedge the pumpkin bomb into his hand. Doesn't sit in there very well, and I probably am not finding the correct way to do it, but you can get him to hold the pumpkin bomb too. He is not big, you know, again, we've mentioned this before. Let's pull Daredevil, and let's just do a comparison between the two. He's roughly about the same size as Daredevil. He's a little lankier in the legs and the arms, but he's roughly about that same sort of build. I could have also left the glider off, but I feel like the glider is part of him in the sense that I don't think I'd ever see him without it. Maybe this collapses in on itself, so he doesn't always have this rigid, you know, a winged glider always sticking out from his back, because that would make things difficult for him getting through doors. In the way of his articulation, he does have, and that's one thing too, I didn't put this on quite right, he does have a hinge ball joint in his head, but you have to kind of get your thumb in there to move it because it's kind of attached to the rubbery section of his hood. Hinge sections, excuse me, in his shoulders, which also swivel forward and back, swivel point in the, not even really so much in the bicep, because as you can see, the top of the bicep is a sculpted piece to the shoulder. It's this glove area that swivels. He's got a double bend at the elbow, hinged hands. He has the upper torso crunch. Whoops! And I just dropped the head. Let's put that back on. There we go. It was a little harder because that cloak, the little hood area, you kind of have to get your thumb in there and push it down. Swiveled waist. Let's resume. Swiveled waist. And ball hinge joints in the legs. Swiveled thigh. Double bend at the knee. And finally, hinged feet. Non-biased opinion. I like the figure. Slightly biased opinion. He's not my idea of Hobgoblin, But for that matter, Ultimate Green Goblin really is not my ideal goblin either. I like masked glider flying goblins personally. This one is at least a little more faithful, I think, to the original source material, whereas Ultimate Green Goblin, if by a comparison, is really off course. Not my thing at all. It might be your thing. It's not really my thing. Hobgoblin, I like. I think the more I'm looking at him, the more I'm liking him. I didn't like him initially as much, but you know what? On that level, he's kind of growing on me. So, all around good figure. All around a good figure. Okay, so we've had a look at Hobgoblin. Give him the properly stand. Okay, that's so far so good. And let's have a look at the other figures that we've already reviewed. Favorite figure. If I could have a look at the favorite figure that we had to look at in this wave, I feel like my favorite figure without any doubt whatsoever is probably the Ultimate Spider-Man 2099 figure. I don't think you're going to get a better Ultimate. I keep saying Ultimate Spider-Man 2099 figure. This is probably the best figure you're going to get. Might be a little harder to come by, possibly, out of this wave, but he's probably the best figure in this, at least in my opinion. Next up is Spider-Man here. I don't know what he's doing. He's kind of like, hey, oh, there goes Hobgoblin. Hey! You know what? Let's reach off camera here. I know where the pizza is. I just put it to the side. Let's put the pizza in his hand. There we go. Pizza Eating Spider-Man is probably my next favorite figure. And I guess probably rounding it out, I would probably say maybe Daredevil is probably my third favorite figure. Then I probably would give it to Anti-Venom. I know I bashed Anti-Venom, but his body, his torso is good. Just don't like the short, stumpy legs. But these guys, these two figures are my favorites from this set. And the award, I don't have a trophy, but the award for best figure for the Hobgoblin wave, I would give it to Spider-Man 2099. Let me know down below what your favorite figure was from this particular set, guys. And again, thanks for watching as you always do. Certainly stay tuned. Spot's going to have, of course, more videos heading your way. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.